Howdy, and welcome to the podcast. As you know, I am Connor Jones, your host, and this is Untold Tales from This Side of Nowhere. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about our sponsors. This week's episode is sponsored by Basins Market in Basin, Wyoming. Basins Market is your destination for groceries, fresh produce, and the best meat department in the Bighorn Basin. Come on in and sample their wide selection of products Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sundays from noon to 6 p.m. We're also sponsored by the Wyoming Welcome Program. The folks at the Wyoming Welcome Program are excited about their service, Table Talk. They place brochures on restaurant tables in Cody and Powell that are filled with fun facts about Wyoming, jokes, and the month's holidays. In addition to this information, they include advertisements from local businesses. So if you're interested in being included and getting your business's name out there, give them shoot them an email at HaleyJ, that's HALEYJ, at WyomingWelcome.com. Well, you might notice a little bit of background noise in today's episode because I'm actually here about as far away from the middle of nowhere as you can get. It took us, 18 and a half hours? Yeah, 18 and a half hours to drive from Powell, Wyoming to Mesa, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix. And I guess that brings me to wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. I'm here with a very special guest today. I'd like to introduce everyone to my wife, Haley.
Hey.
This is her first time podcasting with me. Why haven't you? I don't know why we haven't had you on an episode yet.
There's reasons.
I'm probably nervous about what she's going to say, but regardless, she's here with me today. We're visiting her family in Arizona, so yeah, it's been a good Thanksgiving weekend.
Nice and warm.
Yeah, way different than Powell. Well, Haley's here today because we're actually going to tell the story that started it all. This is the story of how Al and Lily met, and I thought that Haley would be able to provide some good insights into this. Plus, I knew if she wasn't on the podcast, she'd probably have a lot to say about how I report on this story. So
I'll probably still have a lot to say.
Yeah. So she's here to set the record straight. But yeah, we're here in the shade of a palm tree, and we're bringing you a story about a very cold January day in Rexburg, Idaho. So, you ready for this?
Go for it, hun.
Okay, whenever you need to jump in, you just jump in.
You don't need to tell me that twice.
This story is called How It All Began. As I considered the various untold tales that needed telling, I realized that I have yet to relate what is arguably the most significant tale in the life of any married man. That is, how I met my wife, Lily. Given that Nicholas Sparks has been begging to hear the entire story, I decided I would indulge him and the numerous single young men who have been incessantly bothering me for romantic advice. Okay, maybe there haven't been numerous single young men, but Nicholas Sparks, there is truth to that. Don't laugh. The truth of the matter is, my meeting Lily when I did was mostly a matter of being at the right place at the right time. But then again, that seems to be the case with the majority of the most amazing events in a person's life. It all began with a start of the semester party called I-Night at BYU Idaho in Rexburg. You see, I had returned home from serving as a missionary in Riverside, California in August of 2017, and my twin brother Fred had returned home in November. We were both enrolled at BYU Idaho for the winter semester of 2018, and I had been largely responsible for making preparations for our first semester of college. Seeing advertisements for iNight on the university's website, I decided it would be a great way for us to get our feet wet as recently returned missionaries. According to the ads, the iNight extravaganza was a night of food, fun, and opportunities to make connections and meet new people before the semester started.
Basically, women.
And yeah, well, I mean...
That's all he wanted. Lots of phone numbers.
I was just fresh off my mission.
No, you wanted phone numbers.
Still wasn't sure what women were. So, how did you find out about iNight?
My roommates, and I've had 5 brothers go to BYU, Idaho.
So iNight's been a thing for a long time.
iNight's been a thing for a very long time.
Okay. Speak up so that people can hear you.
I'm sorry.
Where are we? Okay. Yes. Night of food, fun, and opportunities to make connections and meet new people. According to Haley, that means women.
And obviously mine was men.
Yes.
So.
Before the semester started, and one in particular, you just didn't know it yet. Admission was $5, so I signed Fred and I up. This would be the perfect way for us to kick off a fun first term at college as a couple of bachelors. Well, as it turns out, Fred was not exactly a bachelor when he returned from his mission. He had been riding a sister missionary for about 6 months, and she was also attending BYU, Idaho. Needless to say, on his first night in Rexburg, he was way more interested in seeing her than in going bowling and meeting people with me.
He was in love.
Yeah.
Go, Sammy.
In fact, if I hadn't bought his ticket, there's a pretty good chance he would have been hanging out with his female friend rather than going to iNight with me. Regardless of the circumstances leading up to our attendance in iNight, we arrived at the Man-Wearing Center on campus at the appointed time on January 6th of 2018, and after presenting our tickets, we were waved inside. Yeah, I made sure I got the date right. It's January 6th.
Oh, was it?
Yep, is a Saturday.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Good
Yep.
job.
Well, I did have to look up what day of the week it was. I knew it was that first
You knew
weekend
it was,
of January.
January sometime, huh?
Yep.
Good for you. I'm glad you did that, honey.
Before we had made it 10 feet into the huge building, the sound of blaring music, mingled with hundreds of college-age kids talking, shouting, and laughing, hit us like a volley from a cannon. The place was packed. In one corner of the second floor, a giant mechanical bull was throwing kids clad in jeans and t-shirts off its back left and right. A sign on the door of a ballroom announced a game of human hungry hippos. Another touted life-size Angry Birds. Everywhere we looked, there were 18-year-olds and 20-somethings having a great time. It was a little overwhelming, truth be told, but I was determined that Fred and I were going to start catching up on all the guy time we had missed out on during the past 2 years. Like a couple of deep-sea divers preparing for the plunge, we took a deep breath and dove into the crowd. What, did you guys get there closer to the start of iNight, or?
I do not remember.
Yes, it's been many years ago now. It will be 6 years in January that we met. Yeah,
That's-
6 years ago.
It's enough time to forget all the details. I just knew we got there, and I think the first thing we did was the dating game, so...
The speed dating one, though, right?
No, we looked at the speed dating, but it looked so awkward.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when we saw somebody go, do you guys want to try the dating game? And so that's why we went upstairs to the dating game.
Okay, yeah.
That was the first thing we tried.
Well, Fred and I, we watched a few more guys get chucked off the mechanical bull, surveyed the many food options at the university eatery.
Of course you did.
And said hi to some fellow returned missionaries. Fred began looking at his watch. I started looking for something to liven up our lives. Just then, a young man came down the stairs on one end of the room and called out, Come on up, folks. Another round of the dating game is starting in just a few minutes. So you heard that guy too?
It was a girl for us.
Oh, really?
So that girl and that man actually got us together.
Yeah.
Can you think about that?
Ooh, the dating game! I shouted to Fred, trying to be heard above all the noise. That sounds like just the thing for a couple of bachelors like us. Fred shrugged. I guess. What do you mean, I guess? I asked. If anything, it will be fun to watch. Well, Fred said sheepishly, it's just that Rose is making sugar cookies at her apartment, and she invited me to come. Oh, I see, I grinned. It's our first night of college, and you already violated the bro code. You have a date. Well, it's not really a date, he replied, reddening. Before you ditch me, let's go to one round of the dating game, I shouted, and turned to head up the stairs. I'm already dating someone, Fred protested, but I drug him after me. When we got upstairs, we were greeted by a space the size of a large classroom, filled with rows of folding chairs, filled with people facing a podium where the man we had seen earlier now stood, mic in hand. Come on in, take a seat. The next round of the dating game is about to begin, he boomed over the loudspeakers. It's funny how a moment that will change your life forever can sneak up on you without your even being aware in the slightest that it's coming. I remember it like it was yesterday. Fred and I took a seat near the middle of the room and scooted down a few chairs. We hadn't been sitting long when a couple of girls came over to our row.
That would be me.
The first of the two girls was a tall brunette, and she was leading the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. Her blonde hair fell in a shimmering wave around her shoulders, and her blue eyes glimmered in the glow of the lights above. I
did not remember it like that.
That's exactly how it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. She was wearing a vest. I remember the vest. Is one of those poofy, like, coat vests. Over her long-sleeve shirt, a pair of jeans, and black and white Converse shoes. She was gorgeous.
Oh, I did make an impression on you.
Just the other day, when I asked Lily if she remembered what she was thinking when she saw Fred and I at the dating game, she told me, now you have to do this part because this is what you said. I asked you what you thought when you saw Adam and I sitting there. And you said, I have it right here, quote.
Okay, yes, I did say this. Look at that tall, handsome, blonde guy. Oh, and then I noticed you were sitting there too.
Yeah, she thinks she's so funny. And we have our first snort of the podcast.
You can do that.
Do you mind?
I laugh a lot. Don't mind me.
Do you mind if we sit here? The tall girl asked. Did we mind? Did the crowd mind when George Strait took the stage at a country music festival? Do people mind when the fire department shows up at a burning building? Not at all, Fred said, and offered them the vacant seats. The blonde girl sat with an empty seat between us. I'm not sure how long my mouth was hanging open, but when I finally closed it, it was dry as a bone.
It's because all the drool was coming. Oh, gosh. You look like a cute little puppy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it, yeah.
I quickly thought of something intelligent and charming to say. Howdy, I'm Al, I finally spluttered out, then quickly plastered what I hoped was an easy smile on my face.
I'm Lily,
she said, then proceeded to flash a smile that melted everything inside me like crayons on a wood stove. Her smile only made her look more beautiful, if that were possible. You want to do Katie's parts too? Kayla's parts?
Sure. And I'm Katie,
the tall girl added. For a moment I was frozen, unsure of what to do next. After a moment or two, Fred came to my rescue. "I'm Fred," he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder and bringing me back to reality. "So, where are you ladies from?" he asked.
Oh, I'm from Oregon.
Katie gushed, then asked.
Are you twins or something?
Fred grinned. "Yep, we sure are. How could you tell?" Katie and Lily laughed, and I was starting to think coming to the dating game was the best decision I had ever made.
Gosh, you look so much alike. Are you identical?
Katie asked. Finally regaining a little of my composure, I shook my head. Nah, we're not identical. We just look a lot alike. Lily was so pretty, it almost hurt to look at her.
That is not a compliment.
Like staring at the sun. Yeah, that is a compliment.
Okay.
We'll have people will have to write in. You vote. You vote on our Facebook page.
No.
So pretty, it almost hurt to look at her. That's a compliment in my book.
No, it's not. And I'm a woman.
Well, okay. Where are you from? I managed to ask her.
Oh, I'm from Montana.
She said. Really? I asked, my heart doing a little somersault in my chest. What part?
I'm from beautiful Butte.
She said. You didn't say beautiful.
I can put stuff in here like you put stuff in here. Add some amazing words to make things much more exciting.
Oh, Butte. I nodded. I've been to Butte before.
Most people have.
She smiled. We're from Poverty Flats, Wyoming, Fred said. Oh, Lily furrowed her brow and said,
I've never heard of it.
That's not too surprising, I smiled. There are like 9 people who live there. Katie gasped.
9 people? You're kidding.
Nope, I grinned. 9 people. It's a couple hours south of Billings, Fred offered.
Okay, so it's in northern Wyoming.
Lily said.
I've been to Billings lots of times.
We had something in common. Wow, I thought. We're hitting it off. Just then, the MC broke into our conversation by announcing they were ready to begin the next round of the dating game. I had almost forgotten why we were there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know how this works. One lucky young lady is going to go on a date this evening with the man of her choosing. She will sit here. He indicated a tall stool to the side of the podium. And 3 gentlemen will sit here. He pointed to 3 more stools lined up on the other side of a rolling partition that completely blocked the view of anyone seated on the side with the single stool and the podium.
It was actually 4.
There are 4 stools?
4 stools, because you were number 3.
Oh, really? Well, then I might not remember this like it was yesterday.
No, I don't think so. That's why we have each other, because I don't remember things.
Yeah, we
you
complete
do.
each other.
Yes.
So.
Okay. But there were 4.
4 stools. She will ask them 3 questions, and without seeing who answers, she will choose one of them to accompany her on a romantic date to the Cheesecake Room. A smiling young woman opened the door he was pointing to, revealing a small candle-lit room with a table and a pair of chairs. Just so you all are aware, last semester, a couple met while playing the dating game, and they were engaged by the end of the term, the MC grinned. Like that would ever happen, I thought to myself. You remember when he said that, right?
I do.
Yeah.
And I thought the same thing.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
And now, the MC continued, we need a young lady to volunteer to play. Here he paused dramatically. The dating game! People around us started clapping, and suddenly the room was filled with girls waving their arms in the air and shouting, one of them being Katie. Ah, yes, you, in the back, the MC shouted into the microphone. To our great surprise, he was pointing directly at Katie, who reacted by squealing in delight. Lily laughed and gave Katie a high five.
Good luck,
she shouted, and Katie traipsed up to the front of the room with a spring in her step as the audience applauded. I almost feel like I need to go back in and add applause to this in all the places. Once Katie was seated, the MC asked her, "And who might you be?" She beamed and leaned forward towards the mic he was offering her.
"My name's Katie," she
said, breathless with excitement. "Her name is Katie!" The MC turned to report back to us as if the entire room hadn't already heard. "Let's hear it for Katie!" We all clapped appreciatively, and Katie gave us a glowing smile. "And now," the MC continued, "we need 4 gentlemen to volunteer." "Go up there in front of all these people? I'd sooner sit on a cactus," Fred whispered in my ear. Perhaps it was the way my insides were behaving, or maybe it was a sudden desire to impress Lily that seized me. But before I knew what was happening, I was standing up with my arm in the air. "I volunteer!" I shouted. "Ah, yes, come on up," the MC crooned. "And you, and you, and you as well," he added, pointing out 3 other guys. My stomach gave a lurch as I walked slowly to the front of the room. I felt like 1,000,000 pairs of eyes were watching as I joined the other 3 guys on the stools. It didn't take me long to figure out the seat was about as comfortable as the top of a steel fence post. As we perched precariously on top of the stools, the MC had us introduce ourselves one by one, walking the mic over to each of us in turn. Then he began. And that left you and Fred, and Adam back there by yourselves.
Yep, we had good conversations.
Oh, I'm sure.
Getting all tight and stuff. Hi, Adam.
"All right, Katie," the MC said. "Can I call you that?" I could hear Katie giggle, but couldn't see anything that was going on the other side of the partition. "Okay, Katie, you are going to ask 3 questions, and each of the gentlemen will get a chance to answer. You'll be unable to see them, but you will get to hear each answer in turn. After hearing their answers, you'll get to choose one of them to accompany you to the Cheesecake Room." The audience clapped, and I found Lily and Fred in the crowd. Fred grinned at me and shook his head. Lily looked radiant. In turn, Katie asked 3 questions, and we gave our answers. I'm pretty sure she asked us what would be our perfect date, something difficult we had done, and what our favorite movie was. Does that sound right?
I honestly have no idea.
I think it was something like that. I was bachelor number 3.
Yes, you were.
And I did my best to answer in the most attractive way imaginable. Opting not to mention my favorite date was probably paintballing in the red hills behind our house. Because when the first guy said he would make filet mignon and paddle a canoe through a Venice waterway for his preferred date, I decided I should go for something a little more tame, like a candlelit dinner. I'd never actually had a candlelit dinner, but it sounded pretty romantic to me.
Nor have we ever had a candlelit dinner in 5 years.
But I have paddled you.
I think that was an exaggeration.
I have paddled you in a canoe through the streets of Venice, have I not? No, not that either.
Not that either.
Have we paintballed?
I'm pretty sure we hiked up a hill and you asked me to marry you while I was all sweaty.
I know, but that was later on.
I know. So I'm just saying, we don't do romantic things. Romance is not in my husband's vocabulary.
Okay, yep, I knew this was a mistake. Moving on. The whole time I was answering the questions, I watched for Lily's reaction. I wouldn't mind it if Katie picked me to share a slice of cheesecake, but I admit I had eyes only for Lily. After the other 3 guys and I had answered Katie's 3 questions, the MC announced it was time for Katie to select her date. "Which young man will it be?" he asked. "Will it be bachelor number 1?" The crowd cheered for bachelor number 1. "Or will it be bachelor number 2? I was relieved when I also or bachelor number 3. I was relieved when I also received some applause from the crowd, but I was most pleased when Lily nodded enthusiastically in Katie's direction from where she was seated. "How about bachelor number 4? The MC shouted into the mic. More applause. "All right, Katie, what will it be?" the MC asked. Unable to see Katie on the other side of the partition, us 4 guys stared out at the crowd, deliberately avoiding looking at each other. As we watched, the audience began calling out their preference, and my heart did a little skip when I saw Lily waving 3 fingers in the air.
I did do that.
"I picked number 3! Oh, wait, that's Katie.
Oh, I picked number 3!
Katie called out. Everyone clapped, and I couldn't stop the grin that spread across my face. As the lady led Katie and I to the cheesecake room, she smiled, and we waved at Fred and Lily. After Katie and I ate our cheesecake and talked for a few minutes, I suggested we all get together sometime. We exchanged phone numbers and then went back out to rejoin Fred and Lily. Another round of the game was in full swing, this time with a guy sitting in the single chair and 4 ladies sitting on the other side of the partition.
I do have to say, when they say exchange phone numbers, it was Al asked for Katie's phone number. And I have to remember that for the rest of this.
Yes, well.
He actually asked for Katie's phone number. He never asked for mine. All right, continue.
We'll cover that.
Oh, well, I was just saying.
So it's
very important that people know.
So we came out from the cheesecake room.
Yes.
And rejoined Fred and Lily.
How was your date?
Lily asked, smiling.
It was great.
Kaylee laughed.
Thanks for helping me out with my choice. No problem.
Lily smiled. Hey, I think I'm gonna go to Rose's place, Fred said. You all good here? Sure, I said, trying not to be disappointed. I'll be good. As he disappeared into the crowd, I heaved a sigh.
Hey, where is your brother going?
Lily asked. Oh, he's going to go to his girlfriend's apartment to make sugar cookies, I said.
He has a girlfriend?
Katie asked. Yeah, I said. Do you want to go to the dance? I asked.
There's a dance?
Lily asked. That's what I heard, I said. Katie shrugged.
Sure.
Together, we walked back down the stairs, and before long we had followed some signs to the gym, where a huge mass of kids were jumping up and down while music blared in the dim light. My heart fell. Being a Wyoming boy, I was used to country swing and line dancing. To me, the mosh pit on the gym floor was just exercising while music played, not dancing. For a few minutes, we stood at the edge of the gym listening to the music. Then, a Michael Jackson song with a 4-count beat started up, and I asked Lily if she wanted to dance. She smiled and accepted, and I led her to the less crowded end of the gym floor. Have you ever swing danced before? I asked.
A little.
Lily replied. I know this isn't really a swing song.
Nope.
But I think it will work, I said, taking both her hands in mine.
Ooh.
Yeah, you probably were wondering what we were going to do to Michael Jackson, but...
Well, I wasn't wondering. I just knew we were going to swing dance to a very odd song.
Yeah, well, there weren't a lot of great options of that dance, so...
I just was excited that you wanted to dance with me.
Oh.
And I was going to hold your hands.
Well, for my part, Electricity coursed up my arms.
You didn't even ask what I thought of you when I first saw you, other than my joke.
Oh, well, do you want to? Do I want people to know?
Probably not.
Oh, no. Should I continue with the dance then? Okay. Electricity coursed up my arms from where our hands touched, and my heart was galloping along at a pace that would have dizzied a racehorse. I began with a couple basic steps and found that Lily was an excellent dance partner. Within moments, we were spinning across the floor, and Lily's radiant smile lit up the gym. All too soon, the song was over, and I led Lily off the dance floor. I, of course, asked Katie for the next dance, and while she was also a good dancer, it just wasn't the same as dancing with Lily had been. The next song was hopelessly tailored to more of the fist-pumping everyone else was doing, so I reluctantly took my leave. "This was a lot of fun," I said. "We should meet at Country Dance on Wednesday night."
Okay.
Lily and Katie agreed.
Where are you going?
Lily asked. "Well, I saw a mission buddy earlier, and I told him I'd catch up with him." I could tell Lily was a little disappointed, but I was way out of my element in the wild mass of fist-bumping 20-somethings. Add to that the fact that my wingman had left me hanging, and it was challenging for one guy to hang out with two girls. "This was fun. Let's plan on meeting at Country Dance," I said.
Sounds good.
Lily smiled, and then Katie waved goodbye and pulled Lily into the mosh pit. Lily still gives me a hard time for not getting her number, but I guess I figured I would see her at Country Dance in a few days, so I would see her then. What I didn't expect was for her to text me a few days later. Katie, who was taller than me, decided Lily and I had really connected and gave Lily my number. She convinced her to text me, and we set up an official date for Country Dance. After that, we saw each other every day for the next 4 months, and we were married at the end of July. So, I guess when the MC at I-Night tells people about the couple who met at the dating game and were married by the end of the year, he's talking about us. And there it is. It's how it all began.
Ah, that sure is a great Nicholas Sparks book.
What will he title this one? Love in the Middle of Nowhere? Yep. We'll leave that up to Nicholas. So, Nick, if you're listening, buddy, you've got some material now. I know you need it.
I would like a lunch date with you.
And I'm invited as well.
No.
You're just going to hang out with Nicholas Sparks?
Yeah.
He's like 50 years old now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But if I just go on a lunch date with him, then he can get my side of the story.
Oh.
Which is a lot better.
Oh, well, that's why you're here. You were supposed to help straighten things out.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you for doing this with me. I say Lily is the podcast's biggest supporter because if Haley didn't let me do this, it wouldn't be happening. So thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to his podcast.
Yeah, we sure appreciate it. And we love hearing from you guys. So if you have another story that Nicholas Sparks needs to catch wind about, you can let us know.
We love listening to how people met.
Yeah, we've heard lots of good stories about how people met, so.
But ours is still our favorite.
Yes.
We might be a little biased there.
It's my favorite too, so. You can reach out on our Facebook page or email me at untoldtalesthepodcast@gmail.com. And as always, this has been another episode of Untold Tales from this side of nowhere, where we work twice as hard for half as much and still find time for the important things like fishing. See you next time, folks.